right. There we go. Now it's working. There we go. And look at this. And here we are. We're live. Hi, everybody. Welcome. Yes, I know. I'm wearing a sweater. It's winter where I am, and it's chilly. Interestingly enough, it's cold, but it's not as cold as it is in Vegas, which is very curious. But indeed, it is sweater weather. Went to dinner with the family. We're all largely comatose from the amount of food we consumed. So if I'm lethargic and unable to put sentences together, it may be just the sheer amount of Chinese food going through my system. At some point, it may be some sort of plot to make me incapable of putting two thoughts together. It's not working right now. Like, I'm literally putting multiple thoughts together in my head right now. So let's see if they can. Maybe it grows over time. Maybe it's a strategy they have that kind of leapfrogs each bit of food as it goes through your. I'm fine. I'm totally fine. I'll be all right. I look like a New Age evangelist preacher, and just because I'm wearing a sweater. Dear God, that's frightening. How in the world? What the what? Hi, there you go. Scrolling. Let me get over here to you guys so I can say hi to the chat room. Hi, chat room. I know the timing is off and I'm at a different, whatever. So please hit that like if you would. That would be really helpful. I'm going to try and move this over a little bit so we can. Yeah, that's fine. Hello. It's a Vaseline. I don't have a Vaseline filter. It's quite frankly, it's because the lighting's not that great in the office. So sorry, it's what I can do. I think also there might be. Let's see if I can do this. Stop that. If I turn off the studio lighting, does that help? I don't know. Perhaps. Let's see. What does this button do? No, that's not what I want. I want the kidney. All right, that was sort of a kidney, but not quite. Maybe this lighting is better? Perhaps not. We'll figure it out. Either way, hi, welcome to the show. Hey now. Hey, look at that. Also, hit the like. You can do it. You're in here. Hit that like. Do it. Don't be afraid. See, like Harmon did. Be like Harmon. Yes, and rip Tommy Smothers. That was a conversation point at dinner because of my parents' generation. That was, not only was the Smothers Brothers, a major impact on them comedically and politically, but also, I think Steve Martin was a writer on the Smothers Brothers show. It's how he ended up getting his gig on Saturday Night Live, hosting it. I think because he started, quite frankly, smoking pot with guys that were on that ended up as part of the not ready for primetime players, and they all hung out, and that's how he ended up doing it. And if you look at those original sketches, you can see that. Yeah, don't be like Harmon. No, okay. How about be like Kate then? Kate just liked the stream. Be like Kate in that regard. In that one regard, be like Kate and Harmon. They're good people, in spite of their best efforts not to. And I'm so glad that in just wearing a high-collared sweater, I look like a TV evangelist. Friends, the Lord has a special message for you. That's right. There's so much that the Lord has in store for you. And I hope you listen to our message tonight. And of course, one of our greatest Christians that we've ever had is a fellow named Mike Pillow. Now, granted, he often can use saucy talk when he is in a deposition type of a circumstance. But let me tell you, he is a true patriot. He wants a Christian. He doesn't just want an evangelical America. He wants a televangelical America, and that's why I side with him, friends. Yes. So praise Jesus and pass the mustard. And tonight we will get an inspirational message. We will go straight to the Shark Tank Studios, where the biggest money-making preacher event of our time, the Great Awakening / Great Reset. Look out, Awaken America. Wake up, maggots. I think I got something to say to you. We shall have a little message from our dear, dear friend, the lovely and talented Mike Pillow. And don't think for a second, if I may, praise Jesus and pass the mustard. And by the way, I do believe Pastor Mustard is going to be with us a little bit later on with his magic use of the word, and I do mean Christian magic, use of the word hangin. He will be saying the magic hangin properly to invoke. It's just a word that came out of his face when we were speaking in tongues once, hangin. And he will lay a hangin on you later. I don't want you to look at this crowd and think that, my goodness, there are a lot of empty white chairs in that crowd. I don't want you to think that. I want you to think the exact opposite of what you're thinking right now and go, oh my God, this place is packed. They're never going to have enough chairs for how many people want to be in there. So anyways, heen to you and yours. Let's do it. This is a short little message about how Argentina, which is now being run by a doped up sex fiend who is going to dollarize the economy, I guess, is what's next for America. This is entitled, It Can Be Done. Look at Argentina and what happens when you have elections, not selections. That's right. How they pick a pope, bad. Just saying. Here we go.
What they fear
Oh, God. My Lord, that is loud. Heavens.
most was that we're getting rid of these electronic voting machines.
Well,
That's what it's all about. That's why they attacked. They know.
yes, some people think that the hokey pokey is what it's all about. It is not. It's about getting rid of electronic voting machines, because even though in the last election, every time there was a recount, we ended up with more votes for Biden, that's not going to stop us from wanting to make sure that every vote is counted until we're really miserable.
That's what I stand for. We have to get rid of these computers in our elections. And there great things have happened. I'm going to tell you about the plan in a minute and what.
Well, you better start, because this clip is only 2 minutes and 21 seconds. You have 1 minute until you have to tell us, and then 1 minute to tell us what the plan is. It should be in this. I don't know why. If the plan is just to get rid of the machines, just say the plan is to get rid of the machines. I don't know why I'm still talking like a TV preacher. It must be the sweater.
And I'm going to give you hope from August until now and where we're going.
And then that's it. Just hope from August till now. And then when does hope end? I guess tomorrow, later on, as soon as you're done talking.
Our great real president called me on Thanksgiving to wish me happy Thanksgiving. But one of the things he said,
yeah, apparently he didn't have plans and he was home by himself on Thanksgiving. Did he at least stop chewing long enough? All right.
are you going to have these elections fixed in time? You know, the only way I can lose. He said, the only way I can lose is if they steal it again. And I said, sir, they're already fixed against you. I said.
So what the fuck what's the point? If it's already fixed, you don't have a shot, dum-dum. Biden called him. Yes, Biden apparently go. No. That part I don't get. Asshat, if they already have it, if they were able to rig it when they weren't in power, now they are in power and they already have it rigged, are you just telling them to just fucking pack up and move?
We need to secure them and get rid of these machines, which we're going to do.
That won't do anything. None of it was because of overcounting or literally nowhere. Nowhere did the machines have any impact on it. As a matter of fact, their biggest complaint is mail-in ballots. Remember that? I mean, they're just giving, people could just mail in ballots. So who gives a fuck if they're counted with a machine or not? There's still going to be the same amount of votes if that's the problem. The machines weren't the problem. The machines counted the exact number of ballots and votes that came in there. If you're just eyeballing it, at least the machines can use like a UPC symbol to tell you if the ballot is legit. I honest to God, this is not the problem they said caused the rigging. I don't understand.
And they, by the way, you all seen, there's a couple things.
You all saw?
One of is, you might have seen the ruling that came out of Georgia. That ruling, it was a Democrat, or it was a Obama-appointed judge, and it was a case with old crooked Brad Ratzenberger down there. And what this judge,
Republican Secretary of State, just for the record,
was, if you missed it, she said, yes, there is problems. So these experts said there is problems with these electronic voting machines. Why aren't we looking into it? That you could. And she said something really significant. She said, and if you question them, you're not a conspiracy theorist. I'm going, what? I got to take off my tinfoil hat on national TV, right?
Oh, okay. So, no, questioning them is not a conspiracy theory. Worrying about them, saying, I don't understand technology, somebody could, obviously hackers can do amazing things. Are we protecting against these things? Like, asking questions, that doesn't make you a conspiracy theorist. Saying that the votes bounced off a Spanish satellite, went to Spain, got counted by the Chinese, and sent back to the United States, while I like black election workers because of a broken algorithm, had to backfill faked ballots to a specific number, helped by the Chinese with these like ballots that were printed with panda jizz in the paper. That's the conspiracy part. Being concerned, file this under the I'm just asking questions horseshit. You're not just asking questions. Was it Italy? I thought well, Italy is where, that's right. It went through Spain, was counted in Italy, and then the Chinese gave the ballots. Right. Okay. Sorry. I get his bullshit very knotted up in my head.
So that was pretty interesting.
All the way. By the way, that was pretty interesting. Yes, it was. It was very interesting. Also, nice red, white, and blue microphone. You absolute asshat. Seriously? Look, you're speaking at a conference. You're not fucking Skinnerd. Jesus Christ. It looks like a bomb pop. Jesus. That's, try harder.
I actually did take off my tinfoil hat, and Jimmy Kimmel did a skit on it, which once again got the word out for us, right?
Right, so he's part of the plan. I see. So Kimmel's in on it? Is that what you're saying? Like he knows, huh? He might be, you son of a bitch.
But then there was shortly after that, everybody, you all seen this, that it can be done.
You all saw this.
Argentina, if you guys missed this, Argentina, a judge made one ruling last summer, said we got to get rid of these machines. We got to go to paper ballots, hand counted. And they did it in 4.5 months, faster than the Netherlands, and they had an election instead of a selection. Their whole country, first election they had in decades.
Okay, that's the idea that that Milei was voted in for real. I mean, honestly, part of the reasons why they wouldn't have electronic voting in, I would guess, in Argentina is because they don't have enough money to keep, to have electricity. It's a country on the brink of collapse. The idea, and by the way, Milei didn't win outright. He won, and then they had a runoff, and then he can't form a government because of the same kind of split parliamentary thing that they have. So he's just saying fuck it and moving ahead. It's ridiculous. Also, I have to check this real quick. Yeah, Argentina has about 3 more million people in it than California does for the population. Yeah, 45 million. Oh, not even more. Not even that. So a million more than California, because I think California is what, 44? Hold on. Sorry, 1 second. Sorry, we're at 38.9 and 40, somewhere between that and 41. So yeah, there's about 3 million people more in Argentina for all practical purposes. Yeah, 6 million. Let's go with 6 million. 6 million more than are in California. Yeah, one of our states has nearly as many people as the entire country. Yeah. So, anyways, congratulations to Argentina on their new governor. So, also this idea that like that's the guy that got in. That's the guy that specifically got in because get out of here. That's the guy that specifically got in because God had a hand in it and no machines were picking stuff is just ridiculous. Because the guy's gonna like dollarize the economy, he's allowing people to sell their kidneys for fuck's sake. That's the guy God wanted chosen. Lord Almighty. I'm not kidding, by the way. So hold on. Let's see. Where is it? There are two. So here's an article in the Wall Street Journal, just in case you think that that I guess they've turned some corner. Why you should be able to sell your kidney. Now, why would somebody write an article about that recently in the Wall Street Journal? Well, because Javier Milei won the Argentine presidency with a promise to rip up the state, dynamite the central bank, and ditch the peso for the dollar. All are controversial, but none so controversial as his belief that there should be a legal market in human organs. The yuck factor led him to play down his views as the election neared, but trading in organs is one of the most interesting libertarian ideas, and regarded with horror by critics who see it as the purest form of dystopian capitalism. There are two compelling reasons to allow people to sell their organs. While the counter-arguments tend to overlook the basic question of economics, what is the alternative? We shouldn't expect to be trading kidney futures in Chicago anytime soon, but the case for and against putting a price on kidneys goes to the heart of the debate about capitalism. For freedom. I own my own body, so if I want to sell part of it, that's up to me. I have the right to injure or to kill myself, at least in the most developed countries, and I have the right to donate a kidney for altruistic reasons. Why can't I sell a kidney? This is also the political argument for capitalism espoused by Friedrich Hayek and Milton Friedman. For it works better. 4, legalize and regulate. Right, you can only sell one kidney until yours grows back. Even if morally repulsive, if a black market in kidneys is going to exist anyway, maybe it's better to have it regulated and done properly. Yes, that's the pot argument about kidneys. And I have to say, since I don't have the ability to do I knew that at some point the kidney was going to come for us. Somehow. That's the best I can do with that when I'm on the road. I'll work on it. Anyways, that's why I came back. And I would just like to say that, for the record, this asshole thinks that Mike Pillow thinks that Javier Milei was basically chosen by God to be the president of Argentina so that people could sell their kidneys. That's great. It's terrific. Yeah, it's just on point. Also, if I may, can we just jump to a couple of moments? And by the way, hit that like, hit the subscribe, all that kind of stuff. Trump had a couple of messages. One besides the Where's Hunter 2-second thing that he posted, I think on These are, yeah, Trump 24. So these come with on his campaign site. They produce them on Rumble, but then they don't post them there or whatever. You have to go to his, I guess, to his campaign for this. Anyways, so former President Trump shares campaign pledges to farmers and coal miners in social media videos. These are his videos.
Of the American people.
Hold on. So he looks, by the way, I know what you're thinking. He looks fantastic. He doesn't look confused and awful at all. And interestingly enough, it's nice that he has a lot of variety in his thumbnail pictures of himself. Don't you think? Isn't that nice? You know, it's good because there you go. There's another, he had a different, there's a shift. There's a different one. And then we go back to this one. Look, there's that one again. These are all different videos, ladies and gentlemen. These are all just, that's it. There he is. Always the same on his Rumble channel. Let's go back to this one. This is what he really looks like when he posts one on the, on the go. There's that one. There's that one. There's that one. Same face. There you go. This is a group right here. Four of the same face. There it is again. Now he's got a different tie on. So these 3, 4, 5 go together. That looking really bagged out there. And then the last one he did was this Biden attacks democracy thing. And they haven't posted him on his Rumble since. Jesus Christ, though. He looks like cooked shit. So anyways, but he looks fabulous here. And his nunt isn't totally just, it's not painful to look at or anything. Jeez. Okay, so here we go. Former president shares campaign pledges to farmers and coal miners. He got him $28 billion. Now he's going to do the same thing for coal miners. Clean coal.
In his latest outrageous sellout of the American people, crooked Joe Biden has pledged to pay climate reparations to foreign countries. They've been ripping us off for years, and now on top of it, we're going to give them money when...
Also, what impoverished, like Micronesia-style country has been ripping us off for years? Yeah, his eyes look like asses. I understand. They look like sideways butts. We get it. The chat room is like, his eyes. Yes, I agree. Which one of what countries he's I mean, we're talking about countries like Cote d'Ivoire and the Ivory Coast and fucking like countries like Chad and places where like Exxon has been dumping billions of gallons of or millions of gallons of oil into the waterways for decades.
Atmospheres and everything else are...
What?
We're going to give them money when their atmospheres and everything else are horrible.
When their atmospheres and everything else. Because, I don't know if you know this, these impoverished countries where fossil fuels have done a tremendous amount of damage to the groundwater and all that stuff, have their own atmospheres.
Pay them. They're not going to pay us. Just recently, Crooked Joe sent Kamala Harris to Dubai with a pledge to give away billions and billions of dollars of American taxpayer money, all to foreign nations that don't deserve it.
These poor people who don't contribute why won't they just learn how to drink dirty water and live downstream from mining facilities that choke them?
These America Last lunatics want to redistribute your wealth to the rest of the world, to apologize for America's success, all the while.
We have a $26 trillion economy. Pledging even $10 billion to help finance these micro countries rebuilding of their systems or to even start building water reclamation facilities or something like that is not going to leverage our future at all. If you're concerned about that, then obviously you want to cut the military budget in half or stop Social Security altogether. I'm waiting to hear.
China and other countries pump massive amounts of pollution into the atmosphere, and we pay. We pay for what they do.
Oh, we do. We pay for it. No, we don't. We do not pay for what they do. We try to clean up our environment and lower our use of fossil fuels. I got news for you, dummy. Half of the climate change impact stuff that the West and the United States and Canada especially are doing is simply the act of getting ourselves off of fossil fuel for economic, political, and security reasons. The environmental aspect of it is a plus. Not using oil anymore for commuter vehicles and the like, and lowering how much oil we have to use gets us off the radar of Middle Eastern countries that are, wanting to pick a fight with the rest of the world. It means we don't have to rely on them or be affected if they lower production or any of that shit. And it certainly means that we don't have to protect ships carrying oil through sketchy waters all over the world. Again, the environmental aspect of fossil fuels is fourth in its major priority. Yeah. Good Lord.
When I'm president, the United States will not pay one single penny in climate reparations as part of Joe Biden's globalist green
Good Lord. Is he drunk?
scam.
The green scam. Oh, no.
And if Crooked Joe tries to pay any climate reparations to foreign countries in the next 12 months, I will make it my mission to claw back every last cent when I take office. The days
you're not going to be able to do that.
of stupidly transferring American wealth to foreign nations will soon be over. The election of 2024 will be the most important election in the history of our country.
Yeah, kind of. I mean, at least in terms of our lifetime, if only it's because it's the final nail in your political coffin.
It will save our country. Thank you. From this day forward, the Green New Deal will be known as the Green New Scam. It's destroying our country. Thank you.
Those are two separate videos. Really? If I do this, it just makes balloons. Oh, okay, great. So I say that's what happens. If I just put two fingers up, it just makes okay. Why would that be the thing? That's all it takes is cool. All right. I got this right. Yeah, sorry. No. Okay. I don't know. I think it's this one. Yeah, there you go. Boo. Boo. I don't know what this one does. It should do something, right? No, I don't know. This one just goes down, I think. This is just that. Yeah, it just makes me think. Yeah, obviously I think that, or I wouldn't have. Never mind. The top 25 most used political moments of the Tim Gaming. Okay, dealing with anything on college campus. Okay, this video, this little piece right here. He ends here, and then they create and they end it, and then he just does this green new scam.
The election of 2024 will be the most important election
After he says thank you, I think
in
it's
the history of our country. It will save our country. Thank you. From this day forward, the Green New Deal will be known as the Green New Scam. It's destroying.
Why would it be new? Why is it a new scam? If the Green New Deal's been around for a while, why would it be? It just sounds like a new scam. Meet the new scam, same as the old scam. Why would you? The green eggs and scam. I don't know. Yeah, the old green scam, right? Everybody doing the old green scam, the old green scam. Everybody's doing the old green scam early in the morning, slappity slap. Sorry, I shouldn't probably do ham bone when the camera can't see what I'm doing. People might get the wrong idea. Okay. Next up, there is a second one. This is his Christmas message 2 days ago. I'm sorry we missed it when it came out. I don't know if he mentions. It looks like he's got his Christmas face on. I don't. Green eggs and scam. I think that works. Hambone is exactly right. So, like, subscribe, give a thumbs up, support the show. It's Hal Sparks Megaworldwide. Twitch, YouTube people, subscribe, will you? Do it. Do it. All right, here we go.
Melania and I would like to wish everyone a happy, joyous,
I'm sorry, who?
and wonderful Christmas season. In this holy time of year, Christians everywhere give thanks that over 2,000 years ago, God sent his only Son into the world to be the Savior of all mankind. The birth of Jesus Christ is the true miracle we
Why would you stutter between Jesus and Christ? Why is that hard to say?
Savior of all mankind. The birth of Jesus Christ is the
Jesus Christ. Is it just me? It's just so unfamiliar with the phrase. Jesus Christ.
true miracle we celebrate each Christmas.
Do you?
He is the ultimate source of our joy, our hope, and our sense of peace and goodwill as we gather with family and
Wow. Why hit gather? Also, no.
our hope and our sense of peace and
You have no sense of peace. You wouldn't send out a rotten hell message on Christmas fucking day if you had any sense of peace. What are you talking about?
will as we gather with family and loved ones. It is such a great time of the year.
Isn't it?
This is why we can never stop saying that beautiful phrase, Merry Christmas.
Yeah, that's right. I say it all year round. Matter of fact, I answer the phone that way. We can never stop saying it. We've just always got to say compulsively. It is the Allahu Akbar of right-wing evangelicals. We must yell it when we stand over our dead enemies with one foot on their crushed skulls. Merry Christmas! Yeah, it's great.
This holiday we give thanks for many blessings God has bestowed upon us.
Like you losing the election last time and you being kind of just a goofy political gadfly that I can make fun of on the regular.
We pray for the safety of our men and women in uniform at home and abroad, and we ask God to guide us, give us strength, and watch over us in this pivotal year ahead.
Do you? Do you, though?
With his help, by this time next year, we will be well on our way to making America safer, stronger, greater, and more prosperous than ever before. Once again, Melania and I wish you a very Merry Christmas.
Yeah, she's right there, and she must be standing right there. Just yeah, you and Melania. I get it. She's right there. Just bring her out. I mean, she's right there. She's got to be close by. You're at home, I guess. It's your wife. She's clearly there. Where is she? She should be. She must have been in the pictures, right? You took for the right? You guys did big Christmas pictures. Yeah. Cuz you put up a picture of yeah, there she. I mean, I don't even know why I'm even fretting at all. There it is. That's you. That's where's Melania netizens ponder as Trump shares old Christmas photo amid her absence from Mar-a-Lago festivities. Really? That's photos from 2018. That's not awkward or anything. That's pic is years old. Yeah, no, she's not. There he is. Where's Melania? Are the families? This is an isolated, lonely old man. This is him sitting at a table someplace. I guess we have to go to the thing or whatever to view the post. Oh, good God. This is he's on an iPad sitting at a table with a bunch of other people, I guess. Is there any, I guess there's no audio from it. It's just ice cream and iPad. That's it. That's all he's doing. That's the whole friggin' thing. There you go. She sent this out, though, on Christmas. Nice kind of informal, family-oriented greeting around Christmas, doesn't look at all like, if we pull back from this shot, is it going to be, it's going to be Michelle Obama's Christmas card, isn't it? It's going to be from Barack and I, Michelle Obama. She scoured she got a meme version of it. There you go. Okay, that's it. That's he posted the old picture. Well, it's just adorable, isn't it? It's so fun. We once again, we want you to know that we really love this. Yes, and nobody knows this is, and at least it's not, it's like a one-off thing. I'm sure she's fine and it's no big deal, right? Oh, nobody knows where she is. Melania's whereabouts, a mystery to Mar-a-Lago regulars. This is 2 days ago. Yeah, nothing. Nope. Nobody knows where she is. It's a mystery. It's just a mystery. That's all it is. And it's shit happens. People get busy, and there she is. She skipped the family photo, which was weird. I think I'll see if I can find that picture. We looked at it earlier. Where are you silly thing? Yeah. Nope. Yeah, there we go. This is the... Jamal came after she was notably missing from his court appearance. Yike. Hold on. These pictures... I think all the doubles must be sick is the problem, right? He walks over there in the first public announcement is 7 months. Okay. Nope. No, I can't. Let's see. Her mother, so Amalia Knavs is very sick in the hospital, and Melania was by her side at the hospital. So she's not there because she was with her mom at the hospital. And none of the other family members they're not going to visit. No, they're not doing a special. Well, Melania wants to be by her mom's side, so we did a special Christmas photo at the hospital, and then Trump went around to the rooms and said hi to anybody he wouldn't give a heart attack to. Is that the idea? Okay.
God bless you all. May 2024 be the best year of our lives. Melania.
Of our lives. What do you mean, you and Melania? Well, I mean, she'd have to get a divorce, and you don't mean our lives, because obviously we have very different goals for your future specifically. And by the way, hold on 1 second. Let me run this in here. Yeah. Hold on, there you go. Look at you guys. Look at this chat room of people. By the way, hit the like because you're in here. I know you're there. Look at that. Look at the conversations that are happening. I'm just saying. Look at this. Fuki Christmas.
I don't see Ivana in your contacts.
Oh, well, you won't. That's so funny. I don't have an Ivana in my contacts. She renegotiated her posting up again. I honestly, I don't think so. I think she's just trying. I don't know what the fuck her exit strategy is. Is it too soon to make fun of Barron? Yes. He just turned 18, and he hasn't done anything. Just being the dude's son doesn't warrant it. Okay? It's like Tiffany. We don't have to go out of our way to just attack somebody because they're related to somebody. The sins of the father, are not visited upon the children. That's fucking dumb. You heard she's in Baltimore with some guy. Yeah, that's the constant scuttlebutt, is that she spends all this time in Baltimore with her parents, and that's where Barron's going to school. Yeah, leave Barron alone. It doesn't. Yeah, there is nothing about this that there's nothing about his life that matters to this conversation at all. You know, Eric and Don and all the and Ivana, they played a part in this. Okay, real quick. Obviously there's some new stuff. I've been off for a couple of days because of the holidays, and I'd almost forgotten about this dipshit. And while I was busy wrapping and unwrapping presents and doing all kinds of stuff like that, look, Biden family biz scheme exposed. Well, it's covered now. They must have got him while I was looking the other way, right? I can't imagine, that they would do another. He would go on Rob Schitt's show again on Newsmax and not come out and with new information. What are the odds? The title of this one: "This Stinks to High Heaven." James Comer on Biden checks. Oh, they must have more. These can't be the same checks we saw before. The ones from his brother and his sister-in-law. Obviously, this has got to be something new because asked and answered kind of dumb. Let's find out. I'm curious.
Congressman Comer, good to have you on. You've now spoken.
Okay, you can't start with a lie right away.
Biden associates and witnesses. You've laid out the Biden scheme to sell power very clearly.
Oh, piss off. Again, there is no situation where money laundering is as simple as I'll write you a check. This is just dumb.
Showing these payments, the checks we have here.
Yeah, both of them. What are the dates? So you managed to find the only checks that were written to him of any substantial amount of money in between, the times when he was not serving in office and when he ran, like the narrowest time in his life.
James Biden to Joe Biden for loans that didn't exist. A witness you talked
cites evidence not presented. Yes, if I may.
Recently, named Carol Fox, who was the trustee for the bankruptcy filed by a company called AmeriCorps Health.
Right, that's how you know about these checks in the first place. That's how they got the money to pay Joe back because, and again, it's AmeriCorps. I don't know, sounds Chinese.
Said that James Biden promised AmeriCorps access to a future Biden administration and the highest levels of government, and that his brother Joe Biden had been made aware of AmeriCorps, the business, which would be made profitable when it could become part of the Biden platform. I mean, this is so blatant. What
it did? Yeah, it didn't happen. This is before he was even running. This is after he left office. Again, if James makes promises that Joe isn't going to keep, that's on James, not on Joe.
Happening here. If this isn't impeachable, what is?
Here's what is. He would have been still in office and not during the 2-year window where he wasn't in office and wasn't even running for office. And he would have made those promises himself while he was in office and changed policy or funding to benefit this company. That's what it would be.
Well, this is Securities Fraud 101. Obviously, James Biden's the one that's going to take the hit, but Joe Biden knew all about it. Joe Biden met with the AmeriCorps people. That's part of how they operated their business model, Rob. They would either the president's son or brother.
Okay, so let me get this right. Joe Biden doesn't meet with them when he's in office. Once he's out of office, at some point he meets them. They think they're going to get something from him because James is working with them. It doesn't happen. Joe is aware of who they are and still doesn't give them any help. What in this shit?
Approach these people, and then they would bring Joe along. Joe would either call him on the phone, or Joe would either say hi to him or come over.
What? He said hi?
their hands or have lunch at Cafe Milano. There would
No, they didn't have the AmeriCorps people didn't have lunch with him at Cafe Milano. You're thinking of the World Food Bank thing, and then other senators over the years. Jesus Christ!
always be Joe Biden contact after the initial contact, and then the money would start changing hands. So this is another example of how the Bidens influence peddled, and another
Again, influence peddling. If you're famous and you're just like, let's say you're in Hollywood and you're, somebody, influence peddling in Hollywood is called networking. You know somebody, you don't have leverage. You can't blackmail somebody. You can't limit funding for them or on their movie or anything. But you know somebody, and you're like, hey, this person could get me into the right parties, so I'll hang out with this person, or maybe I'll, send them a nice gift and kind of buy their favor to get into the better Oscar parties, hoping that it will help me in business later. That's networking. Networking is not illegal, never has been, and it's never guaranteed. The idea that that AmeriCorps actually was going to sort of benefit from post-vice presidency having Joe Biden be a supporter of theirs because he was going for, he was pushing for a public option or something. And at some point they believed that they could be a part of, one of the potential things for the government if they eventually got to that thing. And if they had him on the board as a former vice president who was shooting for the public option, when they sold their idea to states or to the federal government later on, they could go, yeah, well, he likes us because we're trying to do this thing or whatever. That's networking. That's not influence peddling. Influence peddling is if you actually can influence the process. You have to be in office. Or even if you're in office, you have to be in a position where you can determine the outcome. And at no point was he, especially during this window. Jesus Christ, he wasn't even going to run. And the idea that he would run again for a few years especially was just, nobody even thought of it. He was a long shot when he started his campaign.
We know Joe Biden is complicit in this. The $200,000 check that you just showed on your screen, that came from AmeriCorps Health. There's no ifs, ands, and buts about it. We have Jim Biden's personal bank records. We know that for about a 60-day period, he had about a $2,000 to $4,000 balance in his checking account. Then one day he gets the $200,000 wire from AmeriCorps Health, so it goes from $2,000 to $202,000. He writes Joe a check the same day he got the wire for $200,000
because he borrowed it from them. It was a loan. He didn't even get paid. It was a loan from AmeriCorps.
Joe Biden for the exact same amount. Yeah. So that wasn't real hard to trace. You didn't have to have.
Also, so what? Seriously. What would Joe Biden have been doing when those checks passed through that account and to him at all about AmeriCorps? Seriously. He was not serving in office. If anything, it would have been to buy him as a lobbyist at best. At the best. And it didn't happen. He didn't go to bat for them. That wasn't the point. James Biden got money from them and he repaid his loan to his brother with that money. Because he had to. And also, he got $600,000. He didn't have $3,000 to $4,000 in that account by itself. That's nonsense. Because they know from the lawsuit that AmeriCorps had given him $600K that year in loans. This was just like the second or third one.
A fancy finance degree to trace that. But again, it shows Joe Biden made $200,000 from his family's influence peddling scheme.
No. How do you peddle influence when you're not in office? He didn't even have any family members in office. There are no other Bidens in office.
It's so clear, and yet we have all of the whole of the establishment press has ignored all this.
Yes. What are they not? What are they not paying attention to? The 2-year window when Joe wasn't in office, where his brother paid him back a loan payment that he got from saying to AmeriCorps that he could, I guess they have friends in high places, that never came to pass because Joe didn't make those calls. And AmeriCorps collapsed because they didn't get influence peddled.
And every Democrat in Congress is acting like this isn't real.
It is real. It's just not material. Again, this is the difference between information and evidence. This is just information. No one gives a fuck. Why should we? Look at the date on the check. This is so weird. You know, do you know how easy this would be if AmeriCorps had gotten some sweetheart account, you know, from the U.S. government just 2 years prior? And then a couple of years later, they're feeding money through the brother to make up for that money that was supposed to be paid, right? That the idea is like, look, we can't pay you while you're in office, but after you leave office, we're going to throw you some cash on the regular. Now, it'll be chump change compared to what you're making giving speeches and with your book, and it will make you an unnecessary target for some sort of investigation later. But help us out. Like, none of this makes any sense.
What's it like to fight a fight where it doesn't matter what you come back with?
You're always punching yourself in the dick.
There's no ability for them to even acknowledge reality.
What's the reality? Guys, anybody in the chat room have a problem recognizing that James Biden... Anybody have a problem with the reality of this? James Biden wrote a check, and so did Sarah Biden, to Joe as a loan repayment because he'd been covering their bills for a while, and they just sent him a lump sum saying, thanks, okay, there it goes. It's, you know, it's your money because we borrowed it. We're okay. We'll be all right. Anybody think the checks are fake? That reality? Anybody? Has anybody seen a Democrat deny the reality of either of those checks? Anybody? That's the reality. So what you're telling me is reality. Nope. What about the fact that they can't that AmeriCorps paid James Biden? Anybody else? Anybody have a problem recognizing that reality? Exactly. Now, of all of us and these two dickheads, who has a problem recognizing who was president in 2017 and 2018? Does Rob, honest to God, at this point I'm questioning whether, because I've seen Greg Kelly go, 2018, but, like we've seen some people acknowledge the dates on these checks before, but has Rob Shit ever done it? Have we ever watched him? I don't remember having seen it. He may have at one point, but he's certainly not now.
I mean, it's hard to believe what I've witnessed over the last 9 months with the press corps.
Right.
We bring forth new evidence.
No, again, information is not evidence.
On a weekly basis.
Right, and none of it is evidence.
It's damning evidence. I mean,
no, it isn't.
$200,000 came from influence peddling.
No, it didn't. It didn't. Even if James promised it, they didn't get it. He wasn't, honest to God, AmeriCorps went out of business. Joe Biden never went to bat for them. There was no influence, and there was none to be had.
And the fact that they're trying to say it was a loan, but they don't have any documentation or a check to prove it. If you paid me back, Rob, $200,000, then I should have a check to you for $200,000 at some point before you pay me back.
Unless you're talking about smaller payments over time or use of property, use of a house or whatever, any of that shit over time that they didn't do it. And that's kind of how family loans work. Yeah.
Every American understands this, and the media thinks they can keep printing no evidence, no evidence, no evidence.
No, it's pretty easy. Just say no evidence. This isn't evidence. It isn't evidence. It isn't. Ugh.
Going to believe it, but 70% of the people realize that this stinks to high heaven, and they appreciate the fact that somebody's investigating that.
No, I think even the ones who wish somebody was investigating it, who actually do think something's wonky, they know that Comer and Jordan particularly are fucking morons. The worst people to go after this. This is terrible.
somebody's the House Oversight Committee.
And you know what? And the truth is that
Tell me what the truth is, Rob. Rob, come on. Let's hear the truth.
in order to help keep this man in power, they are selling out decades of credibility.
Yeah, that's right. Who trusts the news anymore? Why won't they admit that this is for work done while he was vice president, with the promise of work he would do when he got into the presidency through, I guess, a rigged election that AmeriCorps participated in? Who is behind the finances of AmeriCorps? Dominion Voting Systems. There, I said it, and that settles it.
Decades. I mean, these establishments have been around for a long time in this.
Unlike Newsmax, which just feels like it's been around for a long time.
Their TV or print, and they have been building that credibility for decades. And to see them doing this in this moment, to me, as somebody that actually went to journalism school.
Notice he didn't say graduated from. It's a weird.
20 years ago.
Yeah, okay, so you forget a lot in the time.
That's why I keep talking about it, because I can't really believe that it's happening.
Well, it kind of like how we feel about you considering yourself a journalist in front of your oddly manga Ghost in the Shell mega dystopian city background.
Can't believe that all of these massive media companies that are owned by these massive corporations have been handed a mandate that they just cannot talk about this explosive story.
Or, if I may, just follow me on this. It's possible. Let's say, on the one hand, let's Occam's rubber mallet this a little bit. On the one hand, giant organizations worth billions of dollars, with decades and decades of credibility on the line, that consider themselves part of the esteemed history of media and journalism throughout all of them see this story, and they've been told by the Democrats, don't you dare go after this guy, or else. And so they are like, oh, we're not going to look into the deep story behind a check written from Joe Biden's brother to him for services not rendered in 2018 that technically is nobody's fucking business and is not a thing, because we're afraid the Democrats are going to kill us. That's the one possibility. That's the one you're presenting here. Or the other possibility, and work with me on this, I know it's a lot, but on the Occam's razor side of things, both of you are dipshits, and you are trying to shove your Vienna sausage into a food processor and have it not frappéed. You are trying to crowbar this square peg into a round hole, and you don't know how you keep ending up with splinters. You are dense and stupid and caught in a cycle of audience capture, because your audience, if you said any of this doesn't sound wonky, every time you've even ventured towards the I'm going to need more information, you get death threats in your email on the regular from what shit viewers you have. And it's so bad that you're following this fuckhead down a dark path in the woods. Maybe you're dumb. Maybe the Occam's razor side is both of you are just stupid. One versus the other. Billions of dollars in credibility and stuff like that, but they're being threatened by Joe Biden to keep their mouth shut, or you're stupid. I'm going to go with the simple. I'm going to go, the evidence points me to you're both dumbasses.
It's real evidence. One thing the media loves to repeat is that a lot of this money came in after Joe Biden left the vice presidency.
Well, after he was no longer vice president. It didn't come in weeks after. It didn't come in right after. It didn't even come in back the first 3 to 6 months after. It was other stuff. The deals that it came from didn't even start until after he was no longer vice president. Stupid. That's why it's so dumb. If James Biden had this deal in place for like years, like first of all, if he'd had this deal in place before Joe left the vice presidency, and the company had gone under because it didn't get the influence, you're another level of dickhead for just bringing this up. But the fact is, these are deals that happened after he was no longer in office at all. Like, there wasn't even a presupposition that he could help while he was in office.
He had recent testimony from the whistleblower show emails involving Hunter and his partners working on deals for CEFC. This is the China money here.
Right, which isn't, for the record, the money that came in through these sides of things. Yeah, okay.
2016, when Biden was still in office.
Right, March 22nd, 2016, when he's still in office, but he's, technically speaking, he's a lame duck vice president. He's not going to be. This is the beginning of it, right? This is the draft in March. Okay. So this deal isn't even going to get off the ground until it is constitutionally impossible for Joe Biden to stay in office.
Working on this while Biden was in office. The money comes in 2017.
Right. Again, and the CEFC didn't even rush this. I will show you one thing, though. Hold on. Yeah, so here you go. 1 second. There you go. I'll open this guy up, and then we'll go to yeah, 2018. Yeah, there you go. Yeah, I'll just go in here. Okay. Yeah, let's go to this guy. Yeah, no, wait, 1 second. Let's go with the timing of it. So the idea is, and Rob Schitt wants us to run on this idea, that Joe Biden, this deal started in the final year of the Obama presidency, didn't even get off the ground until after they left. And when there's no influence to be had at all, when Joe is not running, by the way, by May, they knew he was not running at all. He couldn't be vice president for Hillary Clinton. That's not a possibility. You done, son, unless you run for president. Okay, so here you go. Meanwhile, during the Trump presidency, during China paid Trump millions in rent. Then he left the White House. During the 4 years that Donald Trump occupied the White House, the state-owned Industrial and Commercial Bank of China paid him an estimated $7 million to rent space in Trump Tower. Despite the extraordinary circumstances of the deal involving the government of China, the President of the United States, and millions of dollars, the Trump family portrayed the agreement as standard business transaction. Previously unreported documents call that transaction into question. Lending records show that the Chinese bank abandoned Trump Tower around the time Trump left the White House. The bank's departure seemed to come suddenly in the first half of 2021, less than 2 years after the bank exercised what Eric Trump, the former president's son, described as a 5-year extension. It's hard to consider either of those developments, the lease extension or the sudden departure, without wondering whether China was trying to curry favor. There's no evidence that geopolitics played a role in the deal at first. Reports of the arrangement first surfaced in September of 2008, when Trump was merely a real estate developer eager to tout some good news amid troubled times. It's a great honor to house one of the world's finest banking institutions in Trump Tower, he told Real Estate Weekly. We look forward to a long and happy relationship. It was, by the way, 2008 is exactly when they started, when the CCP started clawing into people. Retrospectively looking back at it, this was part of a strategy they were putting in place. It was not an accident. They were doing it in people, like not just people of political influence, but cultural influence in the United States, that they were trying to like curtail them and move them to say nice things about China, that kind of stuff. I'll show you the Industrial Bank of China. Trump told Forbes in 2015 when they're leading the polls, I have the best tenants of the world in this building. 3 years later, ICBC signed a new deal to lease space in a non-Trump building on 6th Avenue, securing 99,000 square feet for or roughly 5 times its footprint in Trump Tower. With ICBC's lease set to expire in 2019, according to the prospectus, it would have made sense if the bank departed Trump's building at that point. They didn't. But the Trump Tower lease was no longer a typical business deal. Trump was in the White House waging a massive trade war with China. Roughly $2 million of annual Trump Tower rent had turned into a constitutional concern. Emoluments clause stuff, blah, blah, blah. 2021, when Joe Biden took office, the Chinese bank apparently came to the conclusion it was no longer the smartest idea to be renting space from Donald Trump. Representatives of ICBC and the Trump organization did not respond to requests for comment on this story. Also, let's go to this guy. Chinese tycoon sought power and influence. Washington responded. Yi Jianming, that's the guy who paid the CEFC money that Comer and him are talking about, Rob Schitt are talking about. Yi Jianming courted the Biden family and networked with former United States security officials. Today, his empire is crashing down in court. Soon he was meeting the family of Joe Biden, who was the vice president. He dined with James Woolsey Jr., former Central Intelligence Agency director. James Woolsey was one of the people that they first targeted for all this. That effort unraveled. Mr. Yi is in Chinese custody and is on an investigation for unspecified crimes. They pull people back and say they're investigating them for corruption to dirty up the people they were with. That's part of them, even though that person was sent to do a deal. The only corruption they were involved in a lot of times is just simply trying to escape the country. Lauren Boebert just announced she will be abandoning her constituents in Colorado 3 to run in a different district. Wow. That's fascinating. Is she being reassigned? Because her district was created last time. I don't know, did they remap them? Ooh, that's fun. Yeah, this is a guy who courted and maintained networks with the People's Liberation Army and took the strategy of friends in high places. Senior advisor, what became clear about Yi Jianming is that he is an incredibly adept navigator of politics. Blah, blah, blah. And then, let's see. Yi Jianming was a hero of the Chinese Communist Revolution. Marshal Yi, Mao once said, "Save the party, save the Red Army, and saved us." Many assuming Yi Jianming, the quiet but ambitious oil magnate, was Marshal Yi's grandson, but Yi denied it. Where's the part about him has a people who told Fortune magazine got his break in 2006. CFC operated in fringes of the oil world and focused on trading oil futures, blah, blah, blah. And then, where is it? He's got an apartment in Trump Tower. Last year, he turned 40, joined the ranks of China's super rich. He owned a 4-bedroom villa in Hong Kong, $35 million Gulfstream, and luxury apartments in Manhattan. Gee, where are those? Rosneft, blah, blah, blah. Or of being a rich advisor. So, he's bouncing around. Mr. Yi goes to Washington. 2015, met with Alan Greenspan. So he's bouncing around trying to be a show-off. That's how he got the deal with Biden, and that's how they thought it was real. He was meeting with all these people at the same time. Donating as much as $100,000 to the Clinton Foundation outside the Beltway. They donated $500K to the Columbia University Research Center. Winning Mr. Yi notice. So he's basically spreading his money around. Boutique banking firm, blah, blah, blah. The family, 2015, Mr. Yi began to work on perhaps his most politically connected quarry yet, the family of Mr. Biden, the vice president. He met Hunter Biden in Washington. Yi met privately with Hunter at a hotel in Miami in 2017. According to people with direct knowledge of the meeting who were not authorized to speak publicly because the meetings were private, Yi proposed a partnership to invest in American infrastructure and energy deals. During this period, they were doing Rosemont Seneca, an investment firm he formed with Chris Hines, and he had no knowledge of the CEFC and ended his relationship with Rosemont Seneca in 2015. It's unclear whether Hunter Biden struck any deals with CEFC or Mr. Yi through his attorney. He declined comment. He also tried to bring prominent Republicans into its orbit. 2014 memo after November mid-election, CFC outlined a plan for reaching out to top Republicans and politically connected people. The company should begin making that outreach as soon as possible, it said, in order to form a relationship and friend base. Suspicions and wiretaps, how he got busted, blah, blah, blah. Anyways, he owned a $5 million apartment. October, China Central Television accused him of bribing a provincial party boss to help CEFC secure the money to make bigger and more high-profile deals. In Washington, many of Mr. Yee's acquaintances ultimately came to naught. In a brief interview, James Biden said he had been surprised by Mr. Ho's call. He said he believed that it was meant for Hunter Biden, the former vice president's son. James Biden said he had passed on his nephew's contact information. There's nothing else I have to say. I don't want to be dragged into this anymore. Yeah, so that guy, Yi Jianming, this guy, let's see a picture of him real quick. This guy right here. It's this guy. He had a $5 million apartment, a no-show apartment in Trump Tower, Trump World Tower across from the UN. Here we go. Beg your pardon. Start playing again. Wait, why did the audio go out?
Intelligent to do it this way. You would delay it till after you leave because you needed that. You needed to cover up, right? You can't be taking in millions of dollars.
But you also can't give influence once you're outside of office. Again, this is just, I mean, if your complaint is that people shouldn't be able to lobby after they leave office, make that case. But that doesn't sound sexy. That's why they say deep state instead of bureaucrat.
Chinese while you're operating and working in the White House.
Yeah, a no-show apartment is literally you buy the place just as a financial hold, and you never move in. He owned this apartment in Trump Tower as an empty investment thing. So Trump got a $5 million vacant apartment in his building that if he wanted to talk the guy into selling it again or wanted to show that he didn't, that all of his buildings were full, that added, ammo to that argument.
Pretty clear, and yet they pulled this on everybody, and the media is pretending to just be that gullible.
Pretending to be that gullible. I see. So they're not really that gullible. They're just pretending to be that gullible. I see.
Yeah. Well, look, the China money,
China money.
know what triggered that. That's that WhatsApp message that the whistleblowers released, where Hunter Biden is sending the WhatsApp message to his Chinese national, implying that
to his Chinese national. Is that like Trump's African American? Is that how Comer thinks it works? Do you just own people? Is that the idea?
We did all this stuff when Dad was vice president. You're supposed to pay up now.
Yeah, that's not what it said at all.
Left office. My dad's sitting beside me. If you don't send that money, then you're.
Didn't Trump complain about like people paraphrasing his statements and making up context?
Feel the full rage of the Biden family and the U.S. federal government. I mean,
the what? I gotta say that's not what that WhatsApp said. The federal government. How the fuck is the former vice president going to bring down the power of the federal government on anybody?
How blatant the Bidens were. That's extortion.
Okay, stupid. First of all, you can't be bribed by the people who are extorting you or extort the people who are bribing you. It doesn't work that way. So if the Chinese own the Bidens, then the idea that they can extort the people who are bribing them is just dumb. What are you talking about? And nobody has influence if they have to threaten somebody. You didn't get anything for it. Oh, God.
The president's son extorted the Chinese national.
And then they bribed him with blackmail that they used to control the extorted to like he was like, you better give me some money. And they're like, okay, I don't know where I'm going to get the money. How about I bribe you? You give me the money and I'll give it back to you. What the ever-loving shit is this?
Our biggest enemy on the planet claimed his dad was.
No. I would argue Russia, Iran, and North Korea well ahead of China as far as enemies go. That said, maybe it's a deep pocket enemy, but Jesus Christ, man, you have deals with the Chinese.
Who knows if he was beside him or not? That's a question that you would think a journalist would ask.
I don't care. He wasn't even in office. Even the WhatsApp message was after he was out of office and before he was running.
But they have it. And you mentioned the pitiful nature of the press corps. There was a story in Politico Day, though, the morale is low at the Washington Post. They've had to lay off 10% of their workforce. The morale should be low. They produce junk. What they print
Exactly.
is inaccurate. It's incorrect, and everybody knows it.
Yeah.
And no one's going to do business.
Okay, you got to be careful there, Comer, because these guys shit on the mainstream media and the legacy media all the time, but they do nothing but cite them as sources to like support their own arguments constantly.
An inferior product. They produce an inferior product, and as a result,
And if anybody knows an inferior product, it's me.
their morale is going to continue to go down because nobody's going to pay for their paper.
Just to give people an analogy to that, I mean, if these same people that are covering
dear.
Biden corruption were covering a murder trial, here's how they would have to cover these.
Okay, I can't wait. All right, smoking guns. Let's see. There's one body with a single bullet hole in it, and it's buried under a pile of smoking guns. All the chambers are empty, and it turns out the person died from a bullet-shaped stab wound. Go.
They found the guy. He had the gun. His fingerprints were on the gun. He was covered in blood. But, police asked him if he killed.
What did he do? Fucking beat the guy to death with the gun? It was a mad pistol whipping.
He said no. So, it seemed pretty obvious that he didn't kill the person despite all the evidence. That's how they're covering this.
Okay, asshat. One thing. In your analogy, the person would have to not be dead at the time of the murder and died months later of unrelated causes, and the gun the person was holding was pointed the wrong way, wasn't loaded, and the smoke that was coming off of it was just steam because the room was hot.
One final question to you.
Please let it be one final question. Just never have this dumb ass on again. Not that I don't enjoy ripping his idiotic arguments to shreds. It's just fucking tiresome.
And it's about Chuck Grassley,
who is older than anyone.
I very much respect.
Everybody, you better respect me, mister, because I'm a farmer. I run on ethanol. I drink a gallon a day, mister. That's right. I coat all ends of myself with Vaseline, chortle down a gallon of ethanol, and I go to work.
He is saying that he has seen no evidence of Joe Biden doing anything wrong, but he also said there's no indication that he said that there is indication of compromise, specifically with China.
Yeah, because China wanted the CHIPS Act, because that was your idea, dumb shit. The Republicans just didn't want the CHIPS Act, never came up with it on their own, certainly didn't do it during the Trump administration. There's no reason why they couldn't have. Is there anything that changed materially in the political environment or the awareness of China using technology that they were stealing for their military, or them stealing an intellectual property? Is any of that new during the entire Trump presidency? Why wouldn't they have passed the CHIPS Act just during that period, even during the trade war?
But he says he just doesn't have any evidence of it. But at the same time, he says there's no evidence that Joe Biden at this point has done anything wrong. What is going on with Chuck Grassley?
How about this? What's going on with you whippersnapper? You don't know the difference between evidence and information.
Well, it's a lot of senators, Rob. I mean, the senators are sending messages loud and clear, trying to spook the moderate Republicans. They don't want any part of an impeachment trial. I don't know if it's because they think we've got Biden on the ropes.
No. Asshole, he wrote 1,000 pages of memos about Hunter Biden's, the Hunter Biden laptop story. This asshole isn't in the tank for Joe Biden, dum-dum.
They see what the Democrats are doing to Trump. I think that what the Democrats did in Colorado this week will probably backfire, and Donald Trump's liable to carry Colorado now.
Yeah, no.
I think it'll backfire that much. And I think there are a lot of senators.
No. He won't.
These senators are smarter than the representatives, and I like Chuck Grassley too, but it's not just Grassley. You've heard Lindsey Graham say stuff this week. Obviously, Romney, McConnell, all these guys.
Republicans.
They're like, all right, well, we'll let the American people decide. That's not the way I see it. I see impeachable offenses.
Yeah. There aren't any. So why should I give a shit what you, quote, see?
The fact that there's been not only countless crimes by the Biden family, there's been a cover-up by our federal government. And people...
A cover-up of what? How can the federal government cover up stuff that didn't involve a federal employee or federal crimes of any sort? How? They're not even state crimes to cover up here. I don't understand.
To be held accountable. We're going to keep moving forward, but these senators are making it very difficult.
I thought that.
Yeah, they're making it difficult. Not so you're overwhelmed with evidence. You just don't have it on you, I guess.
I thought that they're kind of pretending because there's not, there's not like, it's not on video of him handing or taking money from the Chinese. Maybe they're saying, we don't want the political liability of an impeachment because it can maybe buoy Joe Biden up. They don't want that. So I thought maybe that might be the reasoning too. Congressman, I got to leave it there.
Or they've seen the evidence too. They dug as hard as they could and they never hit anything. It was always quicksand.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Rob.
Thank you, Rob. It's so good to be here as an Apple person who has escaped from the fair. Let me open up the chat real quick. Hi, everybody, real quick. Hello. By the way, hit that like and subscribe. Look at that just blazing chat room. I'm so proud. I'm so proud of the conversations that happened in there. Look at that. Look, I just a raging conversation. Where you from? What do you do for a living? I should just make it where I can't hear you. Where are the super chats? Let's go. Excellent. Hello. And then it stops, so it slows down for a second. It's like I'm running out of letters. There's a big announcement tomorrow that the internet ran out of letters because of Hal Sparks' chat. I believe that's a possibility, and I'm not ashamed at all. Okay, real quick. Let's see. Do we have time in this? Okay. Let me jump in here real quick, if I may, and start some shit before I head out the door. This lovely lady is Crystal Ball, and Crystal Ball is on Breaking Points, but they're not doing shows this week because it's the holiday. And Crystal is married to don't give a shit. Oh, sorry, I'm muted. I know I'm back. Can you hear me? Can you hear me now? I'm back. It froze for a second. I see myself. I see audio. Wait for a second. Let me know when I'm back. Back. Okay. Yeah. So it froze for a minute. It wasn't anything I touched. Anyways, where were we? Oh yes. So this is Crystal Ball, who spells her name with a K. And she is married to Kyle Kulinski. And let me tell you, as a couple, if your initials add up to KKK, it's not a good idea to all times when I'm chit-chatting amongst friends. Crystal and Kyle both spelling it with K, and then that's just I froze again. It's I'm being shut down by the Russians. Weird. Oh, there's sound? You have sound? Volume's gone away. There we go. Now we're back. Okay, good. Sorry about that. So, where was I? Oh, yes. The KKK, the Crystal and Kyle Kalinske. And maybe, I'm willing to be schooled on this. Maybe, just maybe, that maybe the two of them do go off about the conflict in Sudan and Darfur. Maybe they do, occasionally cop to the fact that the Wagner group not only had rape squads in Bucha and other places like that, but also in Somalia and places like that. But it's curious to me that they land on, and probably more on breaking points. I've seen Sagar do more stuff that's like supportive of the Russian side of things, but I don't see a lot of pushback from Crystal, so I guess they're kind of punching it again. I'm watching the audio to see if it goes out, whatever I'm trying. Yeah. So let me give an update on how they run this. This is the beginning of their show, or of her doing, they didn't do a breaking point show, so she just threw up a half-hour video. This is her breakdown of what's going on in the stories, and I'll just want to show you.
Hey guys, so had a lot of updates I wanted to bring you with regards to Israel and go through everything that we have learned just in the past couple of days.
So this video is, I don't know where there's a title. The title about this: confirmed IDF Biden lied about Hamas hospital tunnels. They're using a Washington Post article, which should surprise no one, does not say that. The only argument between the Washington Post is whether where what was under the Al-Shifa Hospital qualifies as a headquarters or simply a hub, or where the connections to the tunnels were in the side buildings because it's an entire complex, not the single hospital building. That she uses that to kind of red wash this entire thing. But yeah,
of bombshell investigations from mainstream outlets. The Washington
Weird. Suddenly the mainstream is trustworthy and stuff, which is great. I'm glad she's coming around. Yeah.
Post now confirming that the IDF lied in their justification of attacking Al-Shifa Hospital. I'll break that very important report down for you. I do not want to lose sight of that because that's
okay. That's the Washington Post Al-Shifa Hospital story. Okay, so let me. This would be, I'll just show you guys. December 21st. So this is the most recent story about it. Let me just, here you go. The case of Al-Shifa investigating the assault on Gaza's largest hospital. This is this will be the title. So the idea is that she just said they lied, flat out lied. So we'll get to that in a second. But here's the story. Let's just give you an example. Weeks before Israel sent troops into Al-Shifa Hospital, its spokesman began building a public case. The claims were remarkably specific. The 5 hospital buildings were directly involved in Hamas activities, that the buildings that sat atop underground tunnels that were used by buildings, by the way, and notice this, not that the Al-Shifa Hospital, the primary building, was the main way in, but that the buildings around them, the ones with the snipers' nests and all that kind of stuff. But, well, they play really fast and loose with things like that. You got to pay attention to the fact that it isn't just, the hospital isn't one building. And that's why you can float this idea that they're lying about one thing or whatever. Okay, sat atop underground tunnels that were used by militants to direct rocket attacks and command fighters, and that the tunnels could be accessed from inside hospital wards. The assertions were backed by concrete evidence, Israel Defense Forces spokesman Daniel Hagari said as he laid out the case in the October 27th briefing. As storming the complex on November 15th, the IDF released a series of photographs and videos that it said proved its central point. Terrorists can come here to command their operations, said in a video published November 22nd, guiding viewers through an underground tunnel illuminating dark and empty rooms beneath Al-Shifa. But the evidence presented by the Israeli government falls short of showing that Hamas had been using the hospital as a command and control center, according to the Washington Post analysis of open source visuals, satellite imagery, and all of the publicly released IDF materials, which is just their statements. Again, open source stuff. Okay. That raises critical questions. Legal and humanitarian experts say about whether the civilian harm caused by the military operations against the hospital, encircling, besieging, and ultimately raiding the facility and the tunnel beneath it, and they don't dispute there's tunnels beneath it, were proportionate to the assessed threat. Okay. Do you see anything in this that says they outright lied about this idea. What the Post is saying is that they feel the threat was exaggerated, or that the IDF didn't made a bigger case than what was actually there, or than what they found. They found, yes, exactly. They found tunnels big enough to drive a fucking car through underneath the hospital complex. It had been a month since the attacks. They had announced that they were coming to Al-Shifa and surrounding the place, and that they had no intention of bombing the place, but that they were going to raid it and look for stuff. They packed up on purpose. Nobody is that stupid. Okay, the rooms connected to the tunnel network discovered by IDF troops show no immediate evidence of military use by Hamas. That's because they had bugged out to the other sites, because they knew they were coming. Why would you leave? And why they didn't hang till the last minute? They announced for weeks that they were coming. Again, none of the 5 buildings identified by Hagari appeared to be connected to the tunnel network. That one in particular isn't particularly true. The primary ones on the site were, and again, outside the building, across like this little compound area, is an area that goes down into the tunnel, out the doors of the hospital. You can also get there through the basement. It's so weird. There's no evidence tunnels could be accessed from inside hospital wards. And that's the idea. No, because the hospital wards aren't on like the 3rd basement level. Okay. Hours before the IDF entered the complex, Biden administration declassified U.S. intelligence assessments that said it bolstered Israel's claims. In the aftermath of the raid, Israeli and U.S. officials have stood firm behind their initial statements. We are absolutely confident in the intelligence that Hamas was using it as a command and control node. And again, that's the difference. They say node, they're saying she's saying center. That's where they're arguing this point, that this was one of their command centers, not the command center. And this is the argument. It's so ridiculous. And this is, again, you can disagree with their assessment or think it was overblown, or you can even make the case that the Washington Post is saying that they made too much of the Al-Shifa hospital and therefore endangered perhaps patients. It's a reasonable argument to have. I don't necessarily side with it in this particular situation, but the idea that they outright lied when they found what they found is just dumb. It's so gross. So, and again, this is the article she's talking about. And she just said that the IDF outright lied. Right. Senior official told the Post last week, speaking on the condition of anonymity to discuss sensitive findings, Hamas has been holding the hostages in the hospital camp. Yeah. A senior administration official told the Post last week on the condition of anonymity to discuss sensitive findings, Hamas had been holding the hostages in the hospital compound until shortly before Israel went in. The U.S. government has not made any of the declassified material public, and the official would not share the intelligence his assessment was based on because more people will get killed and blah, blah, blah. Like, silly. The IDF has published extensive, irrefutable evidence that points to the abuse of the Shifa hospital complex. And again, there you go, the difference. Complex. There's like 10 buildings on this site. They're all attached. You can get to them, you get to one building from underground, and that building goes to the tunnels. And so can you get to it from the wards of the main hospital? No, you have to go through an underground tunnel to get to the other building, and that's not attached to the main tunnel complex. You go down another place. It's just fucking stupid. Like and again, it's not so bad if you're arguing about the tenuous nature of the connectivity of the entire space, but the fact that she's just like, they just lied. They just fucking lied. They fucking lied. Oy. Before I was convinced Al-Shifa their operations were taking place, I think there has to be a new level of demonstration. They should have more proof at this point. That's the other senior official in Congress, a member of Congress, told the Post, which they didn't cite. I'm not quite sure why. I understand why intelligence people might want to speak off the record, but I don't get why a senior U.S. member of Congress told the Post. Whatever. The targeting by a U.S. ally of a compound housing hundreds of sick and dying patients and thousands of displaced people, and that's the other part too, the thousands of displaced people, that they were using it as a shelter, and also that the displaced people aren't women and children, they're grown men, and that those guys are dressed in civvy clothes and they're armed until the bug out. It's just stupid. Has no precedent in recent decades. Yes, it does. Also, part of what lack of precedent there is for it is the fact that most of the people that are fighting in the world right now don't use hospitals as cover. The march on Al-Shifa caused the hospital's operations to collapse as Israelis closed in and fighting intensified. Fuel ran out, supplies could not enter, and the ambulance... No. fuel did not run out and supplies could not enter. They dropped them off for the Hamas people to do it. They refused to take them. That's another thing too. And ambulances were unable to collect casualties from the streets because of crossfire, not because the Israelis would fire on ambulances, which is, if you don't say that, that's the presumption. Before troops entered the complex, doctors dug a mass grave for as many as 180 people, the United Nations said, citing hospital staff. That I don't get too. Before they entered, who the fuck did they throw in there? This before the Israelis showed up? Also, what's buried with those bodies? Doctors dug a mass grave? What, they just stopped working on patients, picked up shovels, and started digging a mass grave for as many as 180 people. That is one of the weirdest parts of this whole article. Is anybody in the chat room got an explanation that I can bite into for that shit? Right? Yeah, all grown men, armed. Yes, more than they. Right? What? How in the world? What does that even fucking mean? Before troops entered the complex, doctors dug a mass grave for as many as 180 people. Okay, most like population dense spot on the earth. More people in Gaza packed in like sardines. How it's almost like the WAPO is helping naming nonsense of genocide. Joe actually helping Trump and MAGA. What? Helping, then naming carrying the genocide Joe thing. Yes, I would argue that that's exactly what this is. But this part of it sticks out to me. The United Nations said, citing hospital staff. So the hospital staff said that doctors, hold on. I gotta see what the fuck. So this is citing the UN, UNRWA, hostilities in the Gaza Strip, and flash update. Only one of the hospitals, key points is this number 39. 40 patients died in Al-Shifa Hospital on 14 November, according to the Ministry of Health. The hospital reported preparations for a mass grave inside the compound to bury 180 bodies of patients, which cannot be evacuated due to the intense fighting. So they can't get those patients out. Well, they just bury them alive? The hospital reported preparations for a mass grave inside the compound to bury 180 bodies of patients, which cannot be evacuated due to intense fighting. Hospitals and medical personnel are specifically protected under international humanitarian law, and all parties with the conflict must ensure their protection. Yeah, unless you open fire from the grounds, and then all bets are off. That's the problem. That's what Hamas does. In 48 hours, telecommunications companies were expected to run out of fuel. On 14th of November, they didn't. Okay, in some areas, they were reportedly shut down already. The companies have done 91 trucks carrying... Okay, yeah, there you go. Although 91 trucks carrying humanitarian aid entered from Egypt on 14 November, the distribution of supplies to shelters, clinics, and beneficiaries has already come to a halt due to lack of fuel. The Israeli authorities have indicated that on November 15, they would allow the entry of a limited amount of fuel into Gaza to be used exclusively to run trucks for the distribution of incoming humanitarian aid. This represents a fraction of the fuel needs for humanitarian operations. Meanwhile, the entry of the fuel for any other use, including the operation of generators at hospitals and at water and sanitation facilities, remains banned. This will be the first since October 7th that fuel is allowed into Gaza. Yeah, but they didn't run out the day of October 7th. Okay, never mind. Anyway, so I don't know what the hell that was. Did you guys see that doctors dug graves? Who excavated this mass grave of 180 people before they were dead? Okay. Citing hospital staff. The morgue had long since ceased to function. Several days later, when WHO medics arrived to evacuate those still inside, they said the place of healing had become a death zone. At least 40 patients, including 4 premature babies, died in the days leading up to the raid and its aftermath. Died in the days leading up to the raid and its aftermath. Remember the footage from Al-Shifa Hospital of them treating adult males on the floor. And there were like multiple guys with gunshot wounds and other shit that were running around, all of them fighting age males or whatever. They were treating those guys, but they pulled what? Resources away from babies to treat the soldiers? Is that what? All right. In the weeks since, other hospitals in Gaza have come under attack in ways that mirror what happened in Al-Shifa, making the assault not just a watershed moment in the conflict, but a vital case study in Israel's adherence to the laws of war. Protected status. The Al-Shifa hospital complex was Gaza's most advanced and best equipped hospital. After Israel launched its withering campaign of airstrikes in retaliation, Al-Shifa became the beating heart of the enclave's faltering health system, as well as a place for refugees of refuge for tens of thousands of displaced Gazans who feared they'd be killed in their homes. All of them just dudes, amazingly. Medical facilities are afforded special protection, even in times of wars, losing their status only while they are being used outside their medical function to commit acts of harmful to the enemy. That's yes. They had snipers' nests and rocket launchers. Yeah, it's Israel and Hamas's conflict war. Well said. Without a complete understanding of Israeli intelligence, his battle plans, the legality of Israel's military options against Al-Shifa remains an open question. Does that say that they lie? Again, you can have the argument about this. That's not what I'm saying. You don't have to totally look the other way if you think Israel's doing something wrong, or you don't have to automatically assume right on either side in this. But is this article saying what she just said it said? That's the important thing. Because if I have to get on fucking Bongholio about this shit, right, we can react this way. Okay, now.
Such a pretext for launching attacks on hospitals throughout the Gaza Strip. So we'll break that down.
Okay, no. They didn't, like, they're not airstriking fucking hospitals. And the only pretext that matches what they're doing with other hospitals is warning people that they're coming, sending in troops, which gets more troops killed because they're not bombing the area. They're assuming it is a hospital, at least in major function. And so they actually have people go in there and check everyone. And again, like the idea that they find dead babies, but somehow it's the raid's fault when they've been dead for, in some cases, a week. But they're still treating military-age men with stuff like... Anyways, just like I said, listen to what she's saying versus what the article says.
We also have a New York Times visual investigation of all of the 2,000-pound bombs that have been dropped on Gaza, including in the area where they explicitly told civilians to evacuate to. We also have multiple...
Okay, they've also been telling people to move to a certain area, and then when they have hit the place that they're going to hit, they go, hey, Hamas has moved to under where you guys are, so you guys got to keep moving. We're going to hit that place next. It's not the same thing as just going, they're just bombing where refugees are.
Examples of just blatant U.S. hypocrisy and an Israeli spokesperson admitting, hey, in spite of all these reports, they're pressuring behind the scenes. They're pressuring us behind the scenes. They're not doing that. We're in lockstep. Their support for us is completely unshakable. So break that.
Oh, gotcha. So what she's saying there is the Israeli spokespeople and I guess in the meeting with Lloyd Austin, they were talking about how, people have been talking about how like Biden administration's been pressuring Israel to watch what they do and how they do it, and has been, helped negotiate a lot of that hostage exchange that happened, have been talking to them on the regular about what they're hitting and how they're hitting it, because they're going to lose the sympathy of the world and all that kind of stuff. But at the same time, in terms of the overall conflict, they are going, we are in lockstep with Israel. There is no crisscross here. The public-facing comments of a government, especially at war, and their allies, does anybody think that France, England, the United States, and Canada, and shit, and I don't know, the Nordic countries, the Slavic countries, whatever, during fucking World War II, weren't yelling at each other behind the scenes when they were talking about what great allies they were in front of things because of the nature of the conflict they were in. Again, I don't mind people criticizing these situations, but the idea that we all just have to become dumbly naive, right? We all just gotta throw out everything we know about the world and just enter into this fucking born yesterday idea. We've got a new breaking news on the thanks, Bike Shop Guru. The U.S. will provide Ukraine with up to $250 million in arms and equipment, including air defense, munitions, artillery ammunition. The U.S. has announced the package of arms includes Stinger anti-aircraft missiles, additional HIMARS ammunition, Javelin AT-4 anti-armor systems, as well as artillery and small arms ammunition. It is the Biden administration's 54th disbursement of military equipment to the Ukraine since August 2021. Yeah, so these are also, every time they do a big package of billions of dollars, and then every time a small package of that goes out the door, they have to sign off on it. Kind of like, we requisition this. Okay, cool. We'll gather that together. Okay, as soon as it gets together, you let me know. And then when it goes out the door, I'll sign another thing. That's how a lot of that works. Most people think it stacks on top of what we've done, and it doesn't necessarily. Although the Biden administration is using a different funding source for some of the other stuff. Yeah. Did anybody see the mass in Bethlehem? What they were doing, just like in Ukraine, is terrible. I did not see that. I don't know what you're referring to, but there you go. We should stand for all innocent civilians. I completely agree. But I don't have to. I don't suppose I have to get my channel kicked off the air showing you the footage of the dead girl that the Hamas fighters brought back into Gaza, that they were holding her head up and dropping her on the back of the truck, and everybody, the regular Palestinians who were around, were spitting on her. Right? Men, women, and children spitting on this dead girl who had been sexually assaulted so badly that her pelvis broke, and then they shot her in the head while she was being sexually assaulted during the assault. And they had her body in a truck, and they were parading it around and lifting her up, basically just showing she was dead to everybody, and people were spitting on her. Yeah. And again, KK Kalinske over here and her husband, insofar as I know, have not watched the footage that Hamas put on their own Telegram channel. And unless you do, I don't want to hear your argument about it. I think if all you're seeing is bombing footage of buildings, and you're ignoring the fact that, again, that Israel warns people that they put stuff in, that it is war and it is terrible, but they are, seemingly doing just about everything you can in a situation like this, stuff the Allies didn't do when they bombed Dresden. They're doing this, they're letting them know ahead of time. And you can still disagree with it, but that's what you're seeing. If you're only seeing that part of it, and you refuse to watch the stuff that they did, no matter who you are, I'm not going to get a balanced conversation about it no matter what. Right? And so put down a whole group of people, insinuate it's okay to let these people die. No, not at all. I'm just saying they side with, that a greater number of them side with what Hamas did than is said. They're not prisoners of Hamas en masse. If that makes sense. And it's not, we're not talking about like 8 or 10 people. We're talking a whole street full of people. If it happened in the United States, people would condemn the entire country for that happening. Shoot, every time we have a mass shooting, everybody goes, American society is disgusting. When we're 240 million people, we have these things happen in our country, and they're terrible when they do, but they're not indicative of the people that are across the street from you at any given time, most of the time. Unless that was your actual neighbor. No, and you're right, Sarpis. They have not watched the videos of Putin soldiers castrating a Ukrainian soldier or shooting prisoners of war. Because to them, it's a coin flip.
for you. We also have new revelations about exactly what Bibi is planning for the day after. And yeah, it's ethnic cleansing. I mean, this is just one additional report adding some context to that, but I really don't want to lose sight of what's going on there. And we have new allegations coming from the UN of war crimes being committed by Israel, in particular, 11 men summarily executed. That is the allegation. So before I jump into all of this, I just want to say I really wanted to give Griffin and Mac, our fantastic producers, true time off over the holidays, but I obviously wanted to keep you guys updated as well. So I'm using some new tech to try to be able to put up elements on my own. Bear with me a little bit.
Oh, cry me a river, lady. This is where good old KK Kalinsky and I share some pain. Again, the allegations part of it, and again, just smiling this off. It's just something that happens. This is obviously the Jews are committing horrible atrocities. It's all one-sided. Hamas fighters are completely justified in what they did. October 7th was not only called for, but it's probably Israelis' fault and all that stuff. Like, yeah. So I just wanted to dip into the topic. This is a 30-minute thing, so I'm obviously not going to cover it tonight, whatever. But the important thing that I really want to stress in this conversation is that be careful of the people who watch one side of the argument only and make their argument from that side. And the only time they ever see, especially in a situation like this, we're not just talking about political pissing contests like Ben Shapiro will do or something like that. We're talking about life and death. And if you won't even engage in absorbing what the people that you're criticizing are fighting against, even in their own perception, and you're just writing it off as, well, they kind of had it coming, then at what point why would I take you seriously if you were pissed about Hiroshima and Nagasaki? Why? If what Hamas did is justified, what's the difference with Hiroshima and Nagasaki? A matter of scale? Right? Is it just volume? Is just the amount of roasted dead? That's the idea. And again, if what Israel is doing in Gaza is evil, then sorry, I think my computer is cooking, so I'm going to sign off. Why not just shut the show down when we're at the height of a controversial idea? But here's what I would say is whenever you're listening to somebody on this, you really have to pay attention as to, and this happens more with the Russian part of things, the Russia-Ukraine fight too. Thanks so much, La Smucharina. Happy holidays. Start our own aid organization that can't be corrupted. Food for the peacemakers worldwide. Thanks for helping me, keep me sane. That's not a bad idea. It's great. The sort of like Food Without Borders. Huh? That'd be a good idea. That's not, yeah. I think I like Food Without Borders. Just a hunger thing where we just fly stuff in and drop it, and maybe you get drones. Wait, you get, how one of the reasons why they can't get food aid into some places like in Sudan and other places because the planes will get shot down. They actually Sudanese have an air force, and they, and the other side has rocket launchers, and so shit can't get through. Maybe you do it with drones, so you're dropping food relief in there, right? Until UN aid is blocked by the IDF. Yeah, but it isn't. It is not. It just has to be examined first. And in cases where UNRWA has Hamas buddies working with them, they won't let them look. And when they do, they're like, okay, that's ammunition. That's the other thing too. I think those things should be more exposed as well. There should be more stories. I'll dig down into some of that stuff and show you some of the drop-offs where people use aid as cover for other stuff, because then you can kind of understand why the limitations on it. It's a good story to have. It's sad that it happens and it shouldn't happen, but if you understood that a little bit, then maybe with that piece of knowledge, then your brain moves into solution mode and you're like, well, why don't they do it this way? Or we come up with another situation where we can get food in that doesn't have that issue. I mean, like the same way you enter like concerts and ballparks nowadays with see-through bags. You know what I mean? Right? You know how you have to, we all have to, if we want to go to a football game or a concert or something like that and you have a bag with you, it's got to be transparent. You know what I'm talking about? There's got to be a similar solution in these circumstances for aid that would go through. The only reason a lot of this stuff is wrapped up the way it is and is opaque is because, you know, it's sitting for a long time and you want to protect it from sunlight or something like that. But that, you know, that would be, once you're aware of what the problem is fully, then you can get into solution mode. That's why, you know, I've always been a big fan of having the most information you can have. Dude, all I hear from you is Gaza has it coming? No. Why would you think that? If I thought Gaza had it coming, then I would be calling, genuinely, I would honestly, I would be calling for carpet bombing of the place. I'm not. Nor is anyone. I mean, on that I know of. I'm sure there's somebody saying everything somewhere. Right? Clear backpacks, so security can search in seconds. Exactly. I mean, that's what I'm saying. I'm anti-Hamas. I'm not anti-Gaza. It's ridiculous. Yeah. Would you think I was ginning for the destruction of Gaza before October 7th? Yeah. But I'm saying that if you have all the information, then you come up with solutions that actually work. And this goes to the same thing we deal with the economics of COVID, when people are so fucking confused about, you know, I don't know why the recession didn't happen and these inflation numbers, you know, no matter what we do to the money supply, inflation kept going up. It's like, because it's supply shock, fuckhead, and you're not factoring this one element in. You're pretending this very large, important part of the conversation doesn't exist. And anytime you do that, you're only going to, whatever your solution is, it's not going to solve the problem. It will always be missing the amount that solves to X. Whatever that X is that you don't have factored in, that exists, but you're not practically putting into the conversation or into the equation, is always that gap is gonna exist there. And when it's security, when you're talking about, you know, like border security or national security and those kind of things, you're gonna end up with a gap that's very dangerous. We fund the means to create more death? No, we don't. Let me show you something real quick. Can I show you something? Let me do this real quick. Let's see. There are okay. Let me show you what okay, let me run this by you. I'll show you in a second. Okay. Anybody in the chat know what, let's see, and especially our dear friend who thinks that all we do is kill and kill. Anybody, does anybody know what RUTF stands for? Anybody know what RUTF is? You know, I'll give you a clue. It has to do with food. Somebody might know, and they might look it up. RUTF. I expect, by the way, the people who say that that are like all we do is murder, all we do is kill, the West is terrible, blah, blah, blah. Specifically those folks who think that we side with Israel because we're warmongers and want the Gazans to die, that stuff. Like anybody who says that on the regular. Anybody who's selling the whole military-industrial complex, war is profitable, corporations in America only want war. And if you're ever saying those kind of things, do you know what RUTF means? There you go. Ali Osher jumps in there. Yeah, it's there you go. Some of you are starting to Google it. There you go. Ready-to-use therapeutic food. That's this stuff right here. Okay. In Sudan, this is the only thing saving tens of thousands of children from dying. In both sides of this conflict, the U.S. and our partners play no other part except for trying to get food in there, and specifically these things. Okay, the UN distributes these. America and the Western allies pay for most of it. Most of the money that goes to this through UNICEF goes directly from our funding that we give, the kind of stuff that the Republicans are often trying to cut, and donations, people who donate to UNICEF as well. You can also buy these things and you can sell them. They're about, I think, maybe $10 will make, I don't know, maybe 20 of them, something like that. Okay. And they have a system in Sudan and in the surrounding areas, and in South Sudan right now, there's obviously an open battle zone right there as well, where people bring their children in and they put a little measuring tape around them, and that measuring tape has a red, yellow, and a green, and they cinch it up to whatever the tightness is on the kid's arm to measure it, and if it's in the red, they're suffering from acute malnutrition, and they stay there, and then they put them. And if they're yellow, they also do it, but for not as long. They put them on this stuff. They give them enough packets where the mother can feed this to the kid every day. It's 500 calories of protein and other stuff in these little tubes, and the whole goal is to get them from the red and the yellow to the green. Many children take RUTF. We do the measurements from the mid-upper arm circumference of the children. Mid-upper arm circumference, that's the MUAC measurement. To identify their malnutrition, if the circumference is below 11 centimeter, 0.5, then they are in for treatment. So if it gets below that point, they start feeding them these things to get their body weight up. And it is singularly, there's the little measurement. That's what they're using. This is in Darfur, over here. The amount of malnutrition, these are the packed meals that they're talking about. Without these, so over 40,000 children under 5 years of age die annually in Sudan as a direct result of malnutrition. That's with us doing everything we can in a war zone. The U.S. and our allies, specifically through UNICEF, arrange for these programs. People get in on this, and like Musicians Sans Frontières, Physicians Sans Frontières, the Doctors Without Borders, and other groups will help this system, but it is a UN project fundamentally driven by the biggest awfuls in the world, according to the America Sucks crowd.
Here's what I found.
Thank you. So I want to be abundantly clear that the idea that we export murder, or that we want that as a primary thing, or that that's the only way we make money, or the only thing we're interested in, is garbage. Because quite frankly, in all of these areas, if they were busy killing themselves and we wanted genocide or the clearing out of places like this, we just sit back and let it happen. But we don't. And the only people who think we do just don't know what we're doing all the time. This stuff matters. And it only happens because we give a shit. And if you ask people like Crystal and Kyle what RUTF is for, it's just to fatten up babies so we can kill them. When we have zero input on the dynamics of that war and how it started. Also, just on our way out the door, you can, let's see right here. If you want, let's see if I can find the, yeah, this is food for famine. There we go. Yeah. Whoops. There it is. Yeah. There are a bunch of organizations. This is a Canadian one. I'm trying to find one that, because the Shriners send these over. Yeah. I'll find the direct, because there's a direct pay link. There it is. 15. Yeah. Yeah. This is like a 15 pack for $42 or whatever. At some point they take, it's basically a pack a day. And UNICEF, if you donate to UNICEF, that's one of the areas that you can go to. I'm going to try and find the direct link. I'll have to look it up. Where you can donate to them and give specifically for that purpose if you want. You don't have to. You can just donate to UNICEF and know that a portion of it will go there. And then there are tons of others like, the programs that feed hungry kids. Most of what they're doing is buying these RUTF packages and getting them into these areas. And this goes to my whole conversation about, if you haven't watched the Hamas videos and you're complaining about, that Israel is a genocidal, monstrous organization, then I'm only having half a conversation with you and you're not factoring in anything. So you're going to look at someone and go, how could they feel this way? How could they think this way? Because you're not seeing what they've seen. It's important. It's an important part of the conversation. The other thing, too, is that if you're going to shit on your own country that you suckle from the bosom of it like the Jimmy Dores of the world do, but you're not aware of what we do all the time in these kind of situations as a regular order, that every time the U.S. government does a budget, there's stuff for these kind of things in it all the time. Republicans, I think, are trying to cut it all the time, which is upsetting, but it's always there. And if you don't factor that in, the only thing you're ever going to hear about is, I guess, the argument about the military budget, which, by the way, includes a lot of like rebuilding and community building funds and that kind of stuff for areas that were previously war zones that have settled down so that they don't flare up again. Thank you, Ali Osher. Yeah. And if you don't know about those things, then I'm not interested in hearing, some military industrial complex bullshit conversation from you, because you don't know that a democracy is a balancing act all the time, anyways, and that includes when we're, dealing with war zones and the like. La Smoocherina likes it. Food for all apolitical. Apolitical. The war here as well as worldwide. We could also help U.S. national disasters. I like the idea, La Smoocherina. Reach out to me in the Discord. We'll figure out a way to. I'm sure we're not first to that idea, so maybe we'll piggyback on somebody else and try to broaden it. Maybe that's the idea. So there you go. Yeah, all or nothing thinking is a fallacy. Exactly, Kath. Anybody who believes that life is a stroke of the pen or can be solved like that, these complex ideas, I got to say, you're gross. You're part of the problem, and you have to deal with it. Yeah. Yeah. You gotta consider those things. Look, I look at enough right-wing video all the time to know when they make a point that is salvageable and maybe a bridge can be made there because it's a reasonable concern. Maybe their solution sucks, but they're not wrong about the problem, right? We can do that, but you got to listen to what they're complaining about and dig deep and find out what their real fear is before you'll ever get there, because they're terrible at articulating. And the same thing is kind of true about your own arguments. You always have to be able to handle other people criticizing them or cutting into them and push back with them with everything you have if you truly believe something. Don't half-ass your argument about something just to curry favor, because you'll never fix the conversation. Part of the point of argument is that both people come away with a better articulation of their ideals. I can say what I say in a clearer way. Hey, I can say what I say in a clearer way because I have argued my real point, not what I think you'd want to hear or what somebody else would want to hear, if that makes sense. I hope it does. And until tomorrow, good night, a ding, 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 ding. Good night, a ding. By the way, tomorrow's show will be at the earlier time, like a regular show, I think, unless we have dinner plans, in which case I'll let you know. Have a great Thursday.